Let's wait. Where's the thing? There we go.
Our LSU. Boom!
All night long. Yes. Let's freaking go. Colin, Simmons, Caden Durham, right out the jump here. My prediction is LSU will land one of them. And I'll tell you who coming up. You see the poll question. If you're watching this live, if you're watching this down the road via podcast, this week is going to be legendary when it comes to LSU out-of-state commitments. I cannot remember the time where two top 100 players from the same high school, both having LSU in their top three, decided to commit on the same day. So let me know who you think they are going to land. Comment down below. We will know in the next 24 hours where they are going to go. So a lot to get to, not a whole lot of time, but I do actually want to start somewhere else. Okay. So a lot of people talking about the Johnny Manziel documentary. Okay. And Johnny Manziel, of course, one of the all-time great quarterbacks. But one thing that they chose to not mention in the documentary was how badly LSU shut him down twice. Okay. The one thing untold about the Johnny Manziel Netflix documentary, LSU shut him down. Not once, twice. 2022, you see his numbers on the screen. 29 of 56 for 51% completion. 276 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 3 sacks, 17 carries for 27 yards, a QBR of 53.3. Then in 2012, his entire season, over 400 yards per game, 68% completion percentage with a 91.3 QBR. So think about that. 91 down to 53. You guys know ESPN QBR is my favorite stat. Then we get to the next one. 2013. 16 of 41, 39% completion percentage, 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 12 carries for 54 yards. Another shutdown performance, this time in Tiger Stadium. And his season average, 316 yards per game through the air. We held him to 100 yards less than that. 69% completion percentage. That's 30% higher than what he had versus us. 58 rushing yards per game and an 86.7 QBR compared to his 33.6 QBR. John Chavis's finest work. So I understand. I wish you guys could see my analytics. When I talk about the past and not the future, I lose viewers. But let's celebrate that 2012 and 2013 LSU Tigers team. They get overshadowed by the 2011 team. And, of course, the teams that actually won national championships with those teams were G-O-O-D good. And, look, Jeremy Hill, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, we're not even talking about that side of the football. That team was so loaded. And we could have accomplished more, and we should have accomplished more. And I could tell you, just obviously knowing players on the team, it irks them that they did not accomplish more as a team, but they were pretty good. So let's celebrate that. But I also want to share this. Okay? And this is where it gets really interesting. LSU historically has dominated Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. Okay? Cam Newton got us. Tip your hat to him. All right? And there are other Heisman Trophy winners who have gotten us. But we shut down Lamar Jackson. We shut down Bryce Young 2 consecutive years. Those were far from his best performances, most notably this past season. Johnny Manziel is another one. We have beaten more Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, and we have shut them down. Okay? Now, Are there others that have gotten us? You bet. But even Tim Tebow, we did pretty good against Tebow, all things considered. Okay? So I'm proud of the LSU defenses of the past. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I wanted to celebrate those teams tonight because obviously we're going to be talking a lot about recruiting and the current team. Type Y for yes, type in for no. If you remember those performances, did you know the 2013 performance? There was athletic royalty at that game. Derek Jeter attended that game. Of all people, my favorite all-time athlete. So it was a glorious time in LSU football history. But we welcome you on in, and obviously I'm going to let you know who I think LSU will land tomorrow, okay? LSU will land Caden Durham tomorrow. I feel pretty good about this, okay? I feel like LSU will get it done with him. We have no running backs committed in the class. 0. We've kind of, sort of, we talked about this last night, ironically, and this is very watered down, okay? But we've kind of sort of taken a Leonard Fournette approach. Now, we did take 2 backs in the Leonard Fournette class. Darrell Williams was also in that class. But the year before, we didn't recruit and commit any running backs. This year, albeit in the same class, LSU has told Caden Durham, look, you are our guy. You are our primary recruit at running back. Now, are there others that, of course, they've recruited? Yeah, there's others that they have contacted. But Caden Durham has been made a priority. LSU track and field, of course. Durham is, when he commits, will probably, between him and Jelani Watkins, will be 2 of the fastest commits, along with Turner as well, that we have ever had. This will be arguably our fastest recruiting class ever, okay? And I like Caden Durham a lot. I really do. I think he's a really good football player. And I feel like LSU is going to land him, all right? Also, this is going to sound strange. This is going to sound very strange. But that's why you come here. You come for these unique takes. I think he is the more important commitment tomorrow. Colin Simmons is the better player. He is by far my number 1 player that I've seen in the entire class, regardless if he picks LSU or not. I do not think Colin Simmons' recruitment is going to be shut down tomorrow. I think Caden Durham's recruitment has a far more likely chance of his recruitment shutting down after he commits tomorrow, okay? He wanted to commit on the 25th. It's been moved up to the 10th, and I feel like he just wants to move along. I don't think it's going to be done for Colin Simmons, whether or not we land him tomorrow. So you could look at it positively. If we land Durham tomorrow and we don't land Simmons, I think Simmons has a higher propensity to go somewhere else because he is the most coveted, uncommitted player in the country right now, okay? And he knows this. He knows wherever he goes, he is going to be great, okay? Caden Durham is going to be great no matter where he goes as well. I do think, though, he's a little bit more locked in on getting everything done tomorrow, okay? So let me know what you guys think about that. I feel as if that's how it's going to go. My honest opinion, you guys know I'm not the prognosticator type. It's not really my thing, but I think Texas is in the lead for Simmons at this point. Okay? I do. I also would not be shocked if Miami pulls it off tomorrow. It would not shock me at all. By the way, one thing Miami does have in their corner is Jason Taylor. Okay? One of the best pass rushers of all time has kind of sort of taken the reins of his recruitment at Miami. And Mario Cristobal, of course, might not be that great of a coach, but he is no doubt a top 5 recruiter in the sport. Okay. So I think Miami is in play here as well, but I still think it's down between LSU and Texas, and we shall see what happens there. Now, more than likely, I would like to get a video out directly after their decisions. And of course, we will go live tomorrow night at 8:15 Central. Now, if we do get high enough demand, we could just go live 2 times tomorrow. I might just do that because, when I'm doing a video, it takes a while to put all that together. Okay. And let me know. Would you guys like to go live tomorrow right after the commitment and then go live again at our normal time? I am down to do both. I am. And I might actually just do that because it is a little bit easier just to press live and just go. All right. Now, let's say hi to Carvis. Carvis, please email me after the stream. Cliff, good to see you. Zay is back. Cole, we got Brian. What's up, Zach? Zach is one of my favorite viewers. Good to see you. David and Forbes were our first viewers in here. Rand holding it down on Facebook. Please share the live stream on Facebook. I'm trying my best to grow the Facebook. Tony's saying Ronaldo. I wouldn't mind Ronaldo as a football player. I think Ronaldo would actually be a good wide receiver. Now, next thing. I feel as we've moved along in recruiting, I know a lot of you are interested in Dominic McKinley. He won't be recruiting making his decision until September. I feel as if it could get difficult, right? Obviously, Oklahoma's in on this. There's a lot of people in on McKinley. All right. There's a lot of people trying to get Wardell Mack, and obviously Texas is our biggest challenge there. And I understand it makes you guys feel sticky icky when Texas has done a really good job recruiting guys that we were interested in, right? Last year with 2 5-stars from Louisiana. And then going all the way back to Shiro Davis. Do you remember that? And he ended up being like a decent player. Not good, but not like elite. Not bad. But yeah, I feel as if as long as Simmons and McKinley doesn't go to Texas, I think we'll be okay. I think we will. Now, let's update the poll results here. LSU lands both is currently winning the poll. 56% of you say LSU will win both of them. We say hi to Kenneth. There you go. Now, once again, this is the hour-long live stream. We were so close to hitting the hundo mark to give out this Jacob Hester autograph card. All right. We also got a Kim Mulkey right here. All right. With the sticker on here. We'll give out one of these if we hit the hundo mark. Okay. D-Pain, good to see you. Now, next thing. I was going through LSU's schedule. All right. And last night I was discussing to myself after the live stream what was something that I wanted to talk about that we didn't get to. And normally I'm able to get through everything. But I saved this topic for today. I truly do feel LSU is going to be a lot better this next season at protecting the quarterback for 2 reasons. Okay. And the reason why I saved this is because Brian asked this question yesterday, and this kind of just came to me last night. We talked about sacks versus pressure, but I do want to bring up something about protection. I think our protection is going to be better because Jaden is going to be better. So much of protecting the quarterback has to do with the quarterback, right? One of the stickiest stats in professional fantasy football, Okay. And I know it's fantasy, but it also correlates with who the best quarterbacks actually are, is sack avoidance. Okay. You can be the biggest Anthony Richardson hater out there. He was really good at avoiding sacks, though. All right. The best at it is Patrick Mahomes. He is so good at avoiding sacks. Now, you could still be a really good quarterback and take a high amount of sacks. Joe takes, especially early in his Bengals career, he took a lot of them. But he got better because he got a better offensive line. I do think his offensive line had more to do with the sack issues. I feel like last year was a little bit of both. So after the live stream, I went through and I rewatched some games where I felt like pressure did get the better of us at times. And honestly, it was a good mix of Jaden not getting the football out quick enough. But when I went back and rewatched, there were quite a few sacks that there was nothing he could do anything about. I think last season there was just too many times where our protection just lost right off the snap. It just did. Okay? It just did. And we have got to do a better job of just not letting guys through immediately. We just do. Also, something else that we really struggled with last year, which should be a big part of our offense, is the glance RPO stuff. We just simply couldn't get our RPO game going last year just on quick RPO slants over the middle. Okay. And at times it actually led to turnovers, right? The Malik early turnover throw versus Arkansas was that type of play. The Jack Besh turnover versus Georgia was that type of play. And that has got to be a big part of what we do, because it could be a very effective play based off of what we like to do with RPO stuff and RPO variations from inside zone, which was one of our best plays last year, which is just a simple, basic run up the middle. Okay? So there you go. Now, here's what we're going to do. It seems like the chat just wants to talk recruiting. I'm happily to do that. I am not one to go against what you guys are talking about. So I will save all of that for later. Feel free to super chat if you want me to continue on this topic, but I will go back to recruiting. Okay. D-Payne just cares about Dominic McKinley. Brian asks, what are the odds LSU pulls off the miracle between now and 1400 tomorrow? Shout out to our military. I like that. So once again, 1:45 Central is when they will commit, but it is 2 p.m. Central or 14 Central. It wouldn't be 14 p.m. Central, because if you do military time, it's just 14 Central, right? King Ulysses, good to see you. Are we meeting up in Denver tomorrow? Is that what we're doing? Okay. It says Simmons will use his commitment tomorrow to leverage NIL deals from other schools. Yes, I think so. That's what I would do if I was him. Okay. And honestly, this is just positional value. Okay. This is just positional value. It has nothing to do with anything else. It is positional value. There is a premium for pass rushers. There will never not be a premium for that. And if you are the number one rated pass rusher, guess what? You are a name your price player. You are a name your price player. That's all there is to it. I guarantee it. If Will Anderson last offseason entered the transfer portal and said, hey, someone pay me $2 million to come play at your school right now, I'm pretty sure somebody would have done it if he wasn't already getting that from Alabama. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, that's sure as hell what I would do. I'm going to the highest bidder. There's no guarantee about tomorrow. Now, me being a super LSU fan, I would go to LSU for a little bit less than Texas for a lot of different reasons. But, of course, if I was Colin Simmons, I'd go to LSU. How many great pass rushers has Texas produced? Brian Arakpo? Who else? I've not actually looked this up. I probably should have. There's probably some money I'm missing. If I was LSU, I'd be like, hey, did you see what happened to Shiro Davis? He was just a dude. You come to LSU, though, you could be B.J. Ojolari. You could be Harold Perkins. You could be Arden Key. Here's something else if you're Colin Simmons. Major Burns is probably playing his last year of football next year. Now, why is that relevant? Colin Simmons wears number 8. We will save that number 8 for you, Colin. He's a single-digit guy. You guys know how I am about that. I'm a stickler. How about them LSU basketball boys in the Bahamas? How about the alliteration here? I like that. Thank you, Josh, our first super chatter of the evening. I love it. Yeah, they're doing pretty well. Did they play again today? I'm not sure. I know yesterday they blew somebody out. And then the day before they won a close one. Congrats to the Fighting Matt McMahons. Good stuff. So, Josh, if you got an LSU football question, go right on ahead. I've not watched any of these games. Now, next thing. NIL short-term vision. I will also bring this up, and I do think this is very important. Okay? I'm looking at every single one of you. I think it's very, very, very important. I started looking at SEC over-unders. And what I want you to do, and we talked about this, let's see. I'll pull this up. History. Because you and me got a whole lot of history. We can be the greatest thing that the world has ever seen. So, all right. Which one of these plays right here do you believe? Hey, Dr. Morgan, good to see you. Which one of these SEC plays next year do you feel most comfortable about that is not LSU? All right. And for those that don't understand how this works, don't pay attention to the over-under odds right there. For those that understand what that means, you get it. But which one of these win totals do you feel most comfortable about? Now, if you thought LSU, and not including LSU. So, for example, if you think Alabama's going to go 11-1, you take the over on Alabama 10.5. If you think Arkansas is only going to win 5 games next year, you take the under 6.5, and so on and so on. Okay? Let me know which one of these you feel most comfortable about. I need y'all's intel in a major way. And we'll get back into recruiting in just a second, because that's where I want to spend a good bit of the live stream tonight, because that's what you guys want to talk about. But which one of these do you feel most comfortable taking? Okay. All right. Y'all are giving me schools, but okay. You'd say South Carolina over. Okay. So King Ulysses says South Carolina over. I disagree with that. Pegasus says Vandy over. Skipper says I'd have to say UF. You got to tell me the over under, though. I mean, y'all are just giving me teams. And once again, y'all are just giving me teams. Y'all got to tell me the over or the under. And Skipper saying good things about Florida. Was the world burning down? Dang, a lot of love for Florida in here. Over Florida. So Florida at 5.5. Okay. Here's why I like 5.5. All right. Because to get over the 5.5 hook, Jared, did I miss your super chat? Okay. Oh, okay. You said UF over. I mean, I don't know about that, y'all. Y'all do understand Florida's quarterback situation is abysmal right now. They have no confidence in their quarterback room. Okay. None. Zero, zip, zilch, nada. Five and a half. Let me show you Florida's schedule, and I will see if you guys still feel this same way. Okay. At Utah, which is a loss. SEC teams, road opener, new roster basically outside of running back. That's a loss. McNeese, they'll win that one. Tennessee, they do get them at home. Charlotte 49ers, they'll win that one. So 2-2. And then at Kentucky, I think that's an L. 2-3. Vanderbilt 3-3. South Carolina, I think they lose that game 3-4. You get a bye week, and then you have to play Georgia 3-5. Arkansas, let's just give them the win there 4-5. At LSU 4-6. At Missouri 5-6. And then Florida State. Now, once again, if I'm at 5.5, I like a team at 5.5. I love betting those teams in the over because they're going to take that game very seriously to get bowl eligible. Whereas Florida State, let's say they're like 8-3, a win doesn't really change anything for them at that point. Okay. So you do get value in that. Like I picked Missouri last year at 5.5 because I like that situation playing Arkansas on a short week at home. And they do get this game at home. I just do not want to play them with a very murky quarterback situation. Now, they did bring in some good transfers. I don't know about that. Yeah, and sometimes I do think the sharper side is on the under. I really, really, really do. And the books love it when people see a brand name like Florida get that much love. All right. So let's put this up here again. We've already debunked the Florida over. Okay. Now, let's take a look at my favorite play of the year. All right. It's going to take a lot for me to talk myself out of my favorite play of the year. And I hate to say this because I have absolutely dogged this program this offseason. But no one's mentioned Kentucky. 6.5. I understand with the minus 176, you'd have to lay some right there, but I love the over there for Kentucky. I do. Now, I understand. I've absolutely destroyed Kentucky this offseason. Absolutely destroyed them. I did a 40-minute video on my SEC channel about how they've gotten away with fraud in the SEC. And that will stop once the schedule changes. I highly recommend you check out that video on Power Hour SEC. But I'm going to give you the insight right here. Kentucky over 6.5. All right. Type Y for yes, type N for no. All right, let's make it easier. Type O for over, type U for under. Kentucky, over 6.5. Okay? Now you're looking at their schedule. All right? And before we continue, let's make sure we're all on the same page. So can you explain the over-under again? I know it's for win total, but over means they will have that win total, and the under means they won't get it, right? Exactly. So if it's at 6.5, if you believe the over is going to hit, that means you believe Kentucky is going to go 7-5 or better. If you believe the under, that means you think Kentucky is going to go 6-6. Now, I'm going to run through this really quickly, and we'll get back into recruiting. Once again, if you want a super chat to get off this topic, go right on ahead. So, Kentucky starts the easiest SEC schedule in the history of the conference. 3 home games versus 3 really bad teams. All 3 of these teams had essentially losing records last year. So 3-0, and they're at Vanderbilt 4-0. Florida at home 5-0. Okay? I like them in that spot versus Florida. Okay? I do. Lose at Georgia 5-1. And then you get Missouri at home. Now, I know I've been very pro-Missouri on this channel. But Missouri the week before has LSU. And before that, they have 2 road games. Tired legs coming to Lexington. So you're looking at the schedule. I'm looking at 6-1 to start the season for Kentucky. At worst, 5-2. Okay? 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 5-1, 6-1. And then you get a bye week to play Tennessee. By the way, you guys know how I am about back-to-back road games. Tennessee the week before is at Alabama. It will be on the back end of a back-to-back road game. That spells disaster. That's a very winnable game. So we might be over the win total by November. At Mississippi State, the worst team in the SEC West. You get Alabama coming to Lexington. They'll lose that game. At South Carolina, pretty even matchup. And Louisville, in the post-Malik Cunningham, first-year head coach Jeff Brom. My favorite play of the year. My favorite play of the year. So you got to hear tonight. Kentucky over. Now, I know that's sacrilegious because I've torn apart their program. And I do believe Mark Stoops, he will fall apart the very next season. But they get a quarterback who is an adult, who is better than Will Levis. They get their OC back. Their offensive line should be okay. Their wide receivers are by far the most underrated group of receivers in the SEC. And defensively, I think they'll be okay. I don't think they'll be anything good or bad. But once again, I say this a gazillion times. Kentucky games their schedule. And no one will mention anything about it except for me. Except for me. I'm the only person that will ever mention that Kentucky for the longest has gotten away with scheduling the softest schedule you will ever see in the SEC. Okay? I'm the only one. Tell everybody I'm the only one. Everyone's afraid to talk about it. Why? I won't get into why. But I think O'Leary is going to be decent. And I'm very bullish on Kentucky at 6.5. You're telling me I could get the win total over by November? And I got a minimum 4 wins after the first month? How do they not go 4-0 with that schedule? All right, so Forbes, I will privately explain to you what those numbers mean. That's why I told you not to worry about it. I wanted to make this very simple for everyone. Okay, those numbers are a little bit more advanced, right? I won't get into that because that gets boring. Okay. But it's just fun to talk about the over-unders. H-Town wants to talk about Mizzou. Mizzou scares me because of the weather when the Tigers play them, especially after last season's Arkansas game. Absolutely. You guys, I've told you a gazillion times, you won't find another LSU YouTuber more worried about the Missouri game than me. You guys know I'm on with Blake every Monday night. All right. I told him that weeks ago. I told him that a gazillion times here. We've got a lot of PHLers going to that Missouri game. We do. Once again, all right. This is the biggest myth in college football. The biggest myth. You guys want to know what the biggest myth in college football is? I'll tell you right the frick now. All right. I'm looking at you, whoever you are. Whoever you are watching this. College football is the one sport where it has the least to do with who you are as a team. Okay. Now, who you are as a team will probably determine who's going to win national championships. But college football equally has to do with who you play. It's half who you are as a team. It's half who you play. Okay. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Kentucky under Mark Stoops has only had success because of who they played. That's it. And this will be their final season. Who they play is soft compared to everybody else in the SEC. Skipper, thank you for the super chat. You get to pick the next topic. Yeah, I'm fading South Carolina. Ugh. And I think Shane Beamer is 10 times the coach, Mark Stoops says. I'm fading him with that schedule. Here's a good example. I think in terms of roster talent, South Carolina is a better team. And South Carolina could be wimps like Kentucky. And that schedule, their schedule format is the same exact one. But South Carolina isn't wimps like Kentucky. They schedule more out-of-conference P5 games. Okay? But South Carolina says, no, we're bold. So they scheduled North Carolina to start this season. Good luck stopping Drake May week 1. Good freaking luck. You get Drake May and a national championship coach week 1. And you're going to get, a better Texas A&M team in the season with Clemson, who has revenge on their minds. And that's just their unique games. So King Ulysses and Jared are hanging out in Mizzou. There you go. I'll link you two together. I'm glad I put that out there. Zach, let me know, man. Let me know. Because I would say Kentucky fans were at my neck for the video. I did get 1 or 2 messages. But they really weren't because they're more worried about Coach Cal. But there you go. Now, we'll get back into recruiting. And unless, once again, you guys super chat, if you want to stay on this topic, let me know. I could talk about the SEC all day long. Now, I was a little discouraged. I did drop a pretty big SEC video earlier today, my quarterback safety rankings, but none of you guys watched it. It is very sad. Go to Power Hour SEC and check it out for yourself. Now, once again, I'm wearing my shirt. It kind of smells. I've worn this like 3 days in a row. But get your new PHL merch. Look at the way she looks at him. Don't you want your wife to look at you that way? Or if you're single, you'll get girls looking like you, looking at this like you at the bar. If you get your PHL shirts now, you can get it in black. You can get it in heather gray. Get it now. PowerHourLSU.com. Okay? Get to it. Zach, if you listened to me last year, you would have gone 7 for 7 picking over-unders. That was my best year doing it. My favorite thing to do are season over-unders. It's the only thing I've ever really been good at. So there you go. Now we have become a Kentucky fan channel. The issue, though, is I've not put my bet in. So I might sway the line. Okay. Now I know Skipper watch it because Skipper's an OG. Now, I want to talk about this. In the video, I put Jaden Daniels as the number 4 most locked-in quarterback as a starter. Okay. Ahead of Carson Beck, ahead of Will Rogers, ahead of some really good guys. But I really do think Jaden's going to go off this year. I do. It's kind of hard for him not to with what we surround him with. Okay. You will be, Zach. Hey, if you're single, man, that's what you want to wear. Did you see the way that she was looking at him? That's what you want, man. That's what you want. You will be. Let me tell you this, Zach. It goes in this order. An RB&R shirt, number 1. PHL shirt, number 2. Vice versa. It just depends on the day of the week. Man. Let's cut it, Dwayne. This is hilarious. Love the shirt, Carter, but what if a single guy loves to hold on to the money spent to the gals to invest? Can't have them girls taking my profits. It's true. I get that. All right. I understand investing in the stock market. But the truth, okay, when you wear the shirt, and by the way, ladies or gentlemen, whichever you prefer, it works that way too. The men love these shirts as well, as you can tell. LSU players loved this other variation of a PHL shirt, the OG PHL shirt, so much that even Joe Burrow signed it. That's how much he loved it. That's how much he loved it. And Patrick Queen's kind of good, right? The national championship MVP signed this shirt. Send that to him, Zach. Send that to him. I'd be interested to know what Devin says. I'm going to send that clip to Devin. See what he says. I'm not talking to him in a minute. I was a little disappointed, though. For this week's RB&R, he was inside. I liked seeing him brave the heat. But no, he had to go indoors. I get it. That's how hot it is. Oh, man. Yeah, Skipper, he's a true freshman. So that's what happened. Now, just to let you know, we only got about 15 more minutes left to go on the stream. So you better fly those questions in now. Britt, good to see you. Dwayne, get on it, man. Jordan, good to see you. Yes, Corey, I will be confirmed at the Arkansas game. Shout out to Ron. Shout out to John at FACP. Steve and the crew, they hooked me up with some tickets. Pretty excited about that. I like sitting with viewers. I really, really, really do. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. And yeah, we're going to do some type of meetup, maybe the night before or the day of. We did a fun meetup a few years ago in the Greek amphitheater. I kind of just want to do that where I would just sit and talk and fellowship for the longest. So I love it. Now, next thing, I really need you guys to blow me up this year because I want to do national radio. I want to do national opportunities. I listen to Colin Cowherd, all those guys every day. So I'm just speaking this into existence. This is going to happen. I'll talk any sport. I'll talk Quidditch nationally. I don't care. Let's go to Joe. He's got sources. I ran into a certain high-profile person associated with LSU the weekend of the LSU Super Regional. Okay. Certain recruit was in town, and the best defensive lineman in the country told me he was coming. There you go. So Joe ran into Harold Perkins. I love that. I do. Let's go to Cliff. Do you expect Mason Smith to be a better run stuffer or interior pressure guy this year? It's a good question. I think he's going to be both. I really do. I do think it's going to be a little bit of a transition for him because when he played as a true freshman, Ed just told him to go penetrate every play and try and make as many tackles as you possibly can, which is not what you want to do in the modern game. Running backs are so good at cutbacks, and play designs are so good at cutting back and all that stuff. So obviously he worked all offseason with House and Kane. Now he's got an all offseason to work with House now and work alongside Wingo. I really do think Mason is going to have a big season. Now, I'm not just saying that because I like him a lot, and I got his card right here. I've been collecting some of his cards lately. I just like him. I just do. Just as a player objectively. Let's keep it going. Got a few super chats flying in there. What's up, Roby? Good to see you. We'll get to yours in just a second. Let's go to Carvis. Very generous as always. Starting quarterbacks this year, or do all of them play? Who are the top 3 running backs, top 3 receivers? Does Lance Hurd take a starting spot? So let's start back to front. Do I think Lance Hurd eventually becomes a starter? I did eventually give him a year 1 grade. I really did. I wasn't swayed by our interview with him, though. That was pretty epic. Definitely a highlight of PHL. If you want to learn more about Lance, go check it out. He wants to wear a single-digit number. Okay? It's discriminatory against offensive linemen. I hate that. But yes, I'm going to go yes. Top 3 wide receivers. Let's go Malik. Let's go BTJ. And number 3... let's go Aaron Anderson at number 3. All right. I did have a super spicy number 3. I did have Kyron Lacey. Well, not Kyron Lacey. I had Kyle Parker number 3, actually. Let's go with Kyle Parker. Let's give you something spicy, okay? But obviously, Chris Hilton, Landon Ibieta, there's a lot of people that have a say in that. Who are the top 3 running backs? Easy. Logan Diggs, Josh Williams, Noah Kane. But it's not easy, is it? None of those 3 are pure home run hitters. Okay. Josh was a lot more explosive last year than any of us probably could have thought. So I'm going to go, I think one of those 3 will get displaced by either Trey Bradford or Caleb Jackson by the end of the season. I think John Emery will have a role in some capacity, but Trey Bradford and Caleb Jackson, to me, have some home run hitting potential, and I think one of those 2 will have a role. Now, let's go to corners. Starting quarterbacks this year, do you think, or do all of them play? All of them will need to play. Obviously, we're crossing our fingers. We hope Jarek, we have one of these guys have a Jarek type of season. Jarek was a lot better towards the end of the season last year as well. As of right now, I'm going to go Zy Alexander and Deuce Chestnut as your starting outside corners. I think Denver Harris is still going to play a lot, though. I am. Okay. Now, obviously, one of my sleepers is going to be Javian Toviano. Okay, just in the secondary as a whole. And here's a photo of him right here. Now, I wanted to shout out Chad Jones. I thought this was really cool. Brian Kelly having Chad Jones at the LSU facility. And this is obviously really good for the athletes that Chad Jones was able to meet with them. And speak of the devil, there's Roby's super chat right there. The gold LSU helmets. This is one of my favorite LSU alternates of all time, the Cochon Delay uniforms. I thought that whole campaign was very fun. Actually ended up being a legendary game versus Ryan Mallett. It's good seeing Chad Jones mentor these guys right here. And most importantly, here's Chad Jones with our DBs, right? Hopefully these guys got a good pep talk from one of the GOATs of LSU football. So thank you for the super chat. And it gave me a reason to post Chad Jones. We're big Chad Jones fans here on PHL. Okay. Cliff is telling is if Chris Hilton goes off this year, it's because of Cliff. That's all there is to it. Okay. Burgess, it's still so early. I would just let things play out for a little bit. Y'all are putting the buggy before the horse on Lance Hurd. I can't see the Tigers getting lucky again last season with Perk, Emery, and Campbell, and Mason Taylor. So, yeah, I mean, so many true freshmen played last season. It's a good point, H-Down. I mean, it's hard to play as a true freshman. Not many people can. It's a hard sport. College football is really hard. You're going up against guys that, are not Division I athletes. And then next thing you know, you're going up against guys. Everybody's as big and as fast as you are. Okay. But yeah, Lance, I will say this. I did end up putting Lance, like, if I were to rank all three just based on them as prospects, Emory Jones is number one, Will Campbell number two, and Lance Hurd number three. Now, the reverse actually ended up being true. Lance Hurd was number one, Will Campbell was number two, and Emory Jones is number three, obviously combining the 2 years. But all three are obviously really good. And obviously, I've never met the other two. I've met Lance, so personally, I like Lance the most because he was on PHL, and his autograph is right here. Lance Hurd 53. He's got a chance to be Roby. He really does. I would like to say that he is. He's a Baton Rouge native. We've had some good ones. I mean, Coach Stud was really good for us. He really was good, and he's obviously really good. You can always tell if a coach is good or not if he goes somewhere else and has a lot of success. And obviously, he's had a lot of success at Ohio State. And look, the players that played for him tell me that they love Coach Stud. Okay? Now, in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. But if you super chat, we'll keep it going. Okay, this is the 1 hour variation of our show. If you like our extended shows, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, those days are uncapped. 8:15 Central PM. Okay. I'm interested in doing some morning stuff as well. But I'm leaving my mornings open because I will be doing a national morning radio show somewhere. Or I'll be doing a national radio show somewhere. Or just national TV show. I don't care. I'll do it. Heck, I'll do a national magic show. But Coach Stud was really good. Coach Stud was really good. But yeah, in the next 5 minutes, I'll answer as many. If you super chat, we'll keep it going. Let's see where we are right now. Okay, we're about 75-ish away from the Jacob Hester and Kim Mulkey combo here. But that's all right. Dominic McKinley, I don't want to talk about him too much because we got plenty of time to talk about him after tomorrow. I'm going to stick with my prediction tomorrow. We get Caden Durham, Colin Simmons. I'll say this. Even if Colin Simmons picked LSU, obviously if he does, I'm going to go crazy. I just don't think it's over for him, regardless of what he picks. All right? I shared the same opinion with you with Harold Perkins. Okay? I'll share the same thing with you here. Now, that could end up being very good for us. It could end up not being good for us. 1:45 Central, Marcus, is the time. Okay? Now, let's go to Steven. How critical is Simmons really, since we already have Womack and Wiggins starting at defensive end next year? It's a good question. Number one, Simmons they don't play the same position. Womack and Simmons potentially could, but Wiggins and Simmons are not the same. Okay? Simmons is a jack and more of a 6, and Wiggins is more of a 5-4-eye kind of player, to use defensive line technical terms. A 4-eye, 4-5 kind of guy. Now, here's the thing. Okay? Here's the thing. There's an old adage. You can never have enough pass rushers. Right? You can never have enough of them. I really do feel that is a finite resource in football at all levels. Okay? Now, I'm a little biased because I was a pass rusher myself, but I couldn't bend the edge. I wasn't the athlete to do it. You've got to be a certain kind of athlete to bend the edge. Okay? And Simmons is that. He can bend. Not many people can. It's a weird trait. Okay? And that's all there is to it. Okay? Womack is a different kind of player than Simmons. And Wiggins is I mean, we'll see. Yeah, but once again, they wouldn't play the same position. Perkins is now an off-ball linebacker, and they've made that pretty clear. Now, he would still rush the passer, but Steven, think about it this way. Your pass rush is so much better when you have two bookends, okay? Why were the Giants able to beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl? Now, Eli Manning was clutch, and those throws that he made were ridiculous. But the main reason is because they had freaking Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, and Osi Umenyiora all playing at the same time. Okay? They could rush Brady. You didn't have to, Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinators, really didn't have to do anything because those guys were freaking monsters. And if you have an abundance of those guys, I can't tell you how many games we won mostly because we have B.J. Ojolari and Harold Perkins on the field at the same time. It's a freaking mess. And football is a numbers game. If I have to worry about Harold Perkins and everybody else gets those matchups, that's what you want. So it's numbers. You want a monopoly on pass rushers. You don't want a monopoly at quarterback because you can only play so many. You can only keep so many happy. The position you want a monopoly is pass rushers. Well, actually, I would go offensive line then pass rushers. Okay, the guys that block those guys. Wide receiver, I think sometimes having an abundance of those can be an issue because your rotations can be too big. Where I want an abundance, offensive line pass rushers. Now, of course, I want an abundance and depth at all positions. Yes, the Good Morning America, Michael Strahan. People forget the gap tooth legend is one of the best pass rushers to ever walk the face of the earth. Can't do nothing about it. You don't have to call up any special schemes if you're getting there. Exactly. Great pass rushers make people like Lane Kiffin go crazy. All right, we'll end with this with Richard. What do you mean by bend the edge? Okay. So, as a defensive lineman, all right, or just as an edge rusher, bending the edge means how you get around the edge when you're going up against offensive tackles. Okay. So, some players try to bend the edge, but they can't. Okay. And essentially, it comes down to how fluid your hips are. Okay. So, there are some players like a Jadeveon Clowney. He wasn't really an edge bender. Okay. He had good bend, obviously, but he was such an explosive athlete that it didn't matter. He could just run through people. All right. But there's guys like Von Miller, who's the GOAT pass rusher of this era. The dude is a slalom skier, essentially. And there's never been anyone, to me, as good as him at doing that very thing. Okay. Tamba Ali, I mean, there's 1,000. I'm a pass rushing nerd. But I would go to sleep every night working on my pass rush technique every single night. But I can't bend. I don't have hips for it. I got cankles. I was chubby. I was slow. And I hated seeing the guys that had the long arms and all that stuff. Pissed me off. I was like, God, why couldn't you give this to me? I want this. There's just not many of those guys, man. It's a finite resource. It's a finite resource. Now, Dr. Morgan knows a thing or two about great defensive lineman. Michael Strahan. I mean, when he played, like I would still put like guys like J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, even though they play different positions. Those guys are still better, but Strahan is still like, it's like Reggie White, Bruce Smith, and then Strahan's probably like in that next tier, like with like Jack Youngblood and those guys. So, but yeah, it's like Harold Perkins and BJ Ojolari has natural bend. Okay. BJ has really good bend. So yeah, I know it's kind of a weird thing to say, but it's the hips. And honestly, it comes down to athleticism. A lot of it's technique. It is, I mean, you got to work on your technique. But yeah, why do you think JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, still became one of the best defensive linemen after he blew off one of his fingers? Because he could still bend. All right, guys. We will go live after the commitment tomorrow. So we will be going live twice tomorrow. I just already made the executive decision. We might not go long tomorrow, but we will go live after Colin Simmons commits and Caden Durham commits to LSU tomorrow. I'm just posting that out there, putting out those positive vibes. But my official prediction, Durham to LSU, Colin Simmons to Miami. Just throwing that out there. I think he's going to spice it up and pick the Hurricanes tomorrow. Why not? Ooh, Jay. I don't know about that. I don't know. J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt was better than Strahan. Come after me all you want. He was better. All right. I will be chatting briefly in the Discord. Okay. We're going to be doing one of these little live chats in the Discord. If you want to be a part of it, sign up for the link down below and I will send you a Joe Burrow card. Okay. $9.99 a month. $9.99 a month. You get all my exclusive breakdowns, Patreon, Discord, my game grades, charts, okay? How I truly feel about our team. I tell you guys here, but I dive even deeper in the Patreon, and you help me. All right. Now, if you want more LSU content, make sure you check out AYS. I'm on there every Monday at 7:30. It's my buddy Blake. And yeah, we're that close to the season, y'all. We are that close to the season. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. And tonight, we're doing barbecue chicken. Let's go.